Hello, everyone, and this is my review for Monday Night Raw on April the 18th, 2016. And they actually put a lot of matches together for Payback coming up very soon. And I'll get through those matches throughout the entire time. I'll go ahead and start off with the tag team. Number one contendership tag team title tournament. They had the Von Villains up against the Usos, and the Dudley Boys got up against Enzo and Big Cass. First of all, both of these matches ended in clean finishes. Kind of shocking that they would go with that. Also, the aspect that they went with both of the new teams as well, with the Von Villains and Enzo and Big Cass. You figured Enzo and Big Cass their first program would be more than likely with the Dudley Boys, and it might still be. We have to still see where they're going with this tag tournament here. And the Von Villains kind of just have been having a couple matches here and there, so they had no real storyline or anything going along with everything. So seeing that there's fine. It'll be interesting to see what they're gonna do. I expect Enzo and Big Cass still do something with the Dudley Boys, and the match of the Von Villains and Enzo and Big Cass, the tournament finals, is actually going to be at the pay-per-view, at Payback. At least from what all indications are going to be here, is that tournament final is going to be at Payback. So they have a week to promote the match now, that particular match now, and then they go ahead and have the match at the pay-per-view. So that's one of the matches that they made for the pay-per-view tonight. But also interesting, though, it'll be interesting to see where they go with the Usos as well. I have a feeling they might be doing something with Roman Reigns because Roman Reigns, I'll get into that in a bit, but in a backstage segment made mention about Gallows and Anderson attacking the Usos the week before, so you have a feeling that maybe they're going to jump in there somewhere in some way, shape, or form down the road here. The next area I was going to talk about was basically, let's go with Apollo Crews here. Right now, out of all the NXT guys who have come up, now technically the Von Villains have a quote-unquote story. They have something that they're really going for here, while Apollo Crews is like the only one who hasn't really been thrown into any kind of program in any way. He's just kind of beating up on the social outcasts right now. Like Baron Corbin has his program with Dolph Ziggler, which they did a little bit more with tonight as well after Baron Corbin's match with Fandango. Dolph Ziggler was out at commentary, attacked Baron Corbin, gets laid out again with the end of days in the backstage, or not the backstage, but on the ring apron area. But now you have the Von Villains and Enzo and Big Cass. Enzo and Big Cass have the thing with the Dudley Boys, but they also have the tournament finals to work with as well. Same with the Von Villains. So these guys all have something that they're working on at this point. Like I said, Baron Corbin has this thing with Dolph, and those guys have their things. Like Apollo Crews is the only one not really doing anything. He's getting the old traditional type of push where you're going out there and you're facing jobbers on a weekly basis. They tried to put a little bit more emphasis behind it this week with a backstage segment during the pre-show where Apollo Crews, the social outcasts were trying to get Apollo Crews to join them, and he said sure, he would join if one of them can actually beat him tonight. And they tried doing that. His match with Heath Slater wasn't that bad. They did a pretty good job in this match. And both the tag matches were also pretty good as well. They weren't great by any stretch, but they weren't bad either. And it's nice to see that they're going with the newer tag teams, but also kind of shocking. You thought they would put one of the veteran teams into the tournament finals there, but they are definitely going with the two new tags, in this case, potentially getting a title shot down the road. My thoughts would probably be on the Von Villains, because I have a feeling that the Dudleys are going to screw over Enzo and Big Cass or something like that. in that particular match, and it will lead into their program as well. That's where I think they would go with it, but who knows where they're going to actually go with everything. Up next, the 8 Diva Tag. First, they had a segment backstage where Charlotte was getting interviewed, and eventually she gets in her, like, she was cutting a promo based on the aspect of she doesn't need to necessarily win her matches now because she's the champion and everything like that. It's up to the other people to beat her. She doesn't have to necessarily win to keep the belt. So I actually like that. It's nice little heel things like that. There are really good ways of going about it. I actually do like that aspect of it. But she gets interrupted by Natty. And Natalya was basically, spouting, about how she has technically beaten her, even though the tap out wasn't on record. But with that being said, she ends up getting a rematch for a Payback because of what happened the week before. And now they're neutralizing Ric Flair with Bret Hart being in her corner. So they're promoting that aspect in there. They had done something like this down at NXT. As a matter of fact, when they did when the two of them did their NXT title match, way back, I believe I'm thinking of it was 2014 or 2015, when they both did that NXT women's title match. Both Brett and Rick were down at ringside. None of them got involved in that match, but so they're going to be technically playing a little bit more of a role in this particular match. But they have done something like this before, and we'll see how it plays off at the Payback pay-per-view. That's 2 matches tonight that they made. And here come the other 2 matches that they made for the night, because they started out the night with another segment of the Ambrose Asylum. And you had and he had his guest, and Dean Ambrose had his guests. Actually, before he did the whole guest thing, he actually came out there with a couple decent jokes and everything like that. He was trying to be that almost corny type of talk show host, where they come up with these jokes that are kind of cheesy but semi-funny in that sense of the word. And he was playing off of that throughout the entire segment. He brings out Shane McMahon, and Shane McMahon is basically talking up opportunities and everything on that aspect, and putting over the babyface GM role, how he's doing things, trying to make some changes in the company, and this is going to be a new era in the WWE. He gets interrupted by Kevin Owens, and then he starts talking about everything in there, even making it to the point that he didn't understand why Sami Zayn was even in the title picture, saying that he never deserved to be in that title picture ever for any reason, that he knew it, Shane knew it, everybody knew it, and everything on that aspect. So he got interrupted by Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn got a little bit of a rebuttal in, but before getting interrupted by Chris Jericho. All in all, the segment was pretty good. Like, you even got towards the end, like, where you saw things beginning to heat up between all 4 of them. Shane's getting out of the ring, and then eventually Dean Ambrose was like, hold on, wait a second. Take the potted plant. Get rid of it. He wanted to protect his potted plant for his talk show. Not a bad area there. The promo there, like I said, was pretty good. I did actually enjoy it a little bit. And it led to 2 matches for later that night, with it being Chris Jericho and Sami Zayn, which happened right afterwards. And you had Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens. So, and they had made the matches where it would be Dean Ambrose versus Chris Jericho, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn at the pay-per-view. So there's the 4 matches that they made. Like, they made a lot of matches this week. In terms of trying to build going into the Payback pay-per-view. And both of those matches, Chris Jericho and Sami Zayn was really good, and same with Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose. I thought both of these did a really good job of being just really, really good matches. The one thing I would wish for is that, like, even though I love this spot a lot, I like the Sami Zayn diving through the turnbuckles and doing the tornado DDT on the outside of the ring. I think it's a great spot. It's a great looking spot. I wish he would save it for bigger matches. That would be my only gripe. I love seeing the move. It's great move and everything. I wish he would save it for either pay-per-view matches or for Raw matches where there's actually build-up. Like, hey, they announced this a week or a few days, or even like on SmackDown beforehand. Like, where you had some build-up going into this. Not just throwing it out there for the sake of throwing it out there. Because it feels like a special spot in a match. It doesn't. It shouldn't be one of those spots that's like, "Hey, we just made this match, even though it's him versus Chris Jericho. We just made this match a few minutes ago. I'm gonna do this." It's like it just doesn't feel in place there. I wish he would save it for the bigger matches. In that sense, and that's just personal opinion there. On that sector. What was it also? Oh yes, I did talk more about it, but I did talk a little bit more about the backstage segment with Natty and Charlotte. The 8-woman tag match was a pretty decent match. You had Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, Paige, and Natalya going up against Charlotte, Summer Rae, Naomi, and Tamina. Not a bad 8-woman tag match here. I mean, all in all, I don't necessarily agree with Charlotte tapping out to get the victory in the sharpshooter. I think they probably should have had Natalya put somebody else in there and get that over. It's mostly because now that Charlotte's tapped out to the sharpshooter, it makes me feel like, okay, even though that was probably going to be the case there, it's like, it makes it a little bit more obvious that Charlotte's probably going over at the pay-per-view. Now that she's tapped out to the sharpshooter and actually lost a match to it, in that case. It would have been nice if maybe Natalya had gotten somebody or one of the others into the sharpshooter and gotten the win that way, kind of still leaving that door open and maybe making a little bit more disbelief that maybe they would do the title switch there, though they more than likely would never have done it to begin with. In that case, but it would make it a little bit more believable in there that even though like the win gives quote unquote momentum in storyline, it makes people believe that it's like, okay, now that Charlotte's tapped out, there's no way they're going to actually do the title change in that case, because they usually go with that reverse type of logic. Is like, oh, the face got one over on or this person got one over on this person. Now they'll do the honors at the pay-per-view or something like that in that case. But all in all, not a bad match from the women's side of everything. So this leads me into the kind of the main storyline, even though it kind of ended all in like the first hour of the show, hour to hour and a half of the show, which was the whole AJ Styles and Roman Reigns setup. And this was actually brilliant. And now that I think about it, I'll get into that in a few moments, because there's still one other segment to talk about, which was the Miz TV segment with Miz and Cesaro. I thought this was a really good segment between the two of them. I did like I do feel like Cesaro's promo skills are getting a little bit better. And here, Miz was on point of being the corny actor in this one. I thought he came off really, really good in his promo. Same with Cesaro. I thought they both came off really, really good here. I like the aspect of, it's like Miz doing as much of the cowardly thing as he could in this promo, saying it's like, there would be nothing more than I would like than to fight you, but you had this match with this guy, you had a scheduled match with this guy, and Rusev comes out. So the entire League of Nations is there. And then apparently, unbeknownst to everybody, Cesaro had talked to Shane McMahon before coming out there and said he had somehow switched this match, and that talk had this match switched from a one-on-one, which would have had the League of Nations out there, to a 8-man. Which made it Miz, Sheamus, Rusev, and Alberto Del Rio versus Cesaro, and he pulls away his suit to reveal a Booty-O shirt, revealing that it would be the New Day. Fun match. I actually like the ending to this match. Like the spot where it looked like Miz was going to he reversed like a body slam, and then Big E caught him, lifted him by his arms, and tossed him on his shoulder. Was a great spot in there. I thought they did a really good. I thought that was just a really good spot overall to end the match. And the match itself was a lot of fun. You got your typical spots from Cesaro. I love the uppercuts. The uppercuts is a great thing. It works with Cesaro. It shows off intensity and everything that you want from him. I thought, and of course, them using that tonight was a good way of going. But oh no, fun match. Like most of the show, I actually found a lot of fun to begin with. So this leads me into the Roman Reigns and AJ Styles promo. Though the promo itself was kind of these two are not the strongest promo guys. I'm not gonna lie, but you had a bit earlier in the night where AJ Styles was talking, doing a backstage interview, and then Gallows and Anderson show up, and they're not like WWE's not hiding in any way. These guys were buddies. They were part of the Bullet Club back in New Japan, so they made them out as buddies and everything. They started talking and everything like that. They go off. Roman Reigns is cutting his promo. AJ Styles comes out and retorts his promo to him and starts walking away. Walking away afterwards. And one line I did like about it was that AJ Styles was putting Roman Reigns over in the terms of saying that he's going to have the match of his life to beat Roman Reigns. But I love the other line he puts in there to put himself over, saying, "But my career's made on having the match of my life every single time." I love that line. That was a good one. I know these two guys are not strong promo guys, but the story element that they threw in here was pretty good. I liked where they were going. It's like AJ Styles is just walking away, and as he's walking away, all of a sudden Anderson and Gallows come out and attack Roman Reigns. Just one quick move and everything like that. You get the AJ Styles up at the rampway, just dumbfounded what was going on, like he didn't expect anything that was happening to begin with, and then it eventually led to the backstage segment with Roman Reigns and AJ Styles, and AJ's trying to say, I had nothing to do with it. Roman Reigns not believing any of it, and saying, it's like, it's like, do you expect me to believe you on the aspect of, not only did your boys, and you had even AJ go in there, it's like, yes, they're my friends, I know this, but I did not orchestrate this in any way, type in there. But it's like, this is where Roman Reigns brings up the whole, okay, they attacked my cousins the week before, now they're attacking me. Like, you have, like, too much coincidence is happening here, which makes me believe that they're gonna do one of two things. They either turn AJ Styles heel at the pay-per-view and he gets the belt, or Gallows and Anderson team up with Roman and turn Roman heel in this case, because this entire time that they're gonna set up this pay-per-view is that, you know, even though they're AJ's buddies, he never called for them to do this in any way. But it's an aspect of no one believing him, and then it could be like a double cross in the end where they're actually with Roman or something like that. So we'll see where they go with it. And overall this week for Monday Night Raw, not a bad Raw. I thought it was enjoyable. It was definitely an enjoyable one. Like I said, it still felt a little weird that the Von Villains and Enzo and Big Cass advanced to the finals of the number one contendership tag tournament. But it's a nice and refreshing thing to see as well to go along with it. You also had like the setup for matches going into the pay-per-view as well. They announced 4 more matches for the night, so it's not like, oh, we're 1 week away and we've only got 3 matches for the pay-per-view. Let's scramble and make the matches official or anything like that. No, they might make 1 more match next week, and they have pretty much the entire card set up for the pay-per-view right here, so they can build just storylines next week off these matches that they have. So overall, not a bad Raw to be from beginning to end this night. Not too much to really complain about. But I wouldn't also put this as like a great Raw by any stretch of the imagination. It was just good. It was not great by any stretch. But overall enjoyable. And we'll see where they go with next week, because that is going to be the final Raw before the Payback pay-per-view. And that is my review for Monday Night Raw this week, guys. I thank you guys for watching, and have a great evening.